Hello and welcome back to the channel, guys. This is yet another reaction video. One of my all-time favorite franchises, Resident Evil, particularly Resident Evil Village, which is number 8 in the official series, is now coming out with some DLC. Now, I haven't seen this. A lot of you have reached out to me and said, check it out. Obviously, I've done a playthrough on the channel, so if you guys want to go and check that one out, if you're a fan of horror, you're a fan of Resident Evil, or if you just want to see a bit of fun, some jump scares, some entertainment, feel free to go and head over to the playlist, guys. I'll leave a link to that in the description of the video. But here we are, just checking out the story trailer, which has been put forward by the Capcom Showcase. And without spoiling too much about the main game, it ends in a certain way with a certain person. And what happens here, apparently, in the DLC, is we're getting a spin-off story. So in a nutshell, Rose is the daughter which you spend most of the game trying to retrieve as a baby. Time's moved on a little bit now. It may spoil something in the trailer here, so just forewarn, guys, if you haven't completed Resident Evil Village, I would recommend you not to watch this until you have. Or if you're not that concerned about spoilers, then feel free to watch it, but it might reveal something about the main story. So this is basically Rose as she's grown up, as she's moved away from the events of Resident Evil Village. Obviously, she was a baby. Ethan was the main character, but now we are going to witness gameplay as Rose. So very, very excited about the idea of this. Let's see what happens in the trailer and give it our thoughts.
Rose, the beloved daughter of the main protagonist Ethan,
There you go.
is now a grown-up main character in this new story mode. In this sequel to the main story of Village, you can experience Rose's struggles with the terrifying powers she was born with. To break free of the curse of her powers, she enters the consciousness of the Megamycete. There, she meets a girl who looks just like her. In this mysterious realm of consciousness, time and space is warped beyond recognition. Rose is guided by a being who calls himself Michael, who might be of assistance with removing her powers. Shadows of Rose is set completely in a third-person perspective. In the realm of consciousness, you won't only face creatures, but the world itself seems to be attacking you. Enjoy the horror of the world itself being your greatest enemy. How will Rose find freedom from her mysterious powers? The DLC for Resident Evil Village Winter's Expansion includes all 3 of these major additions.
Nice.
In addition, Resident Evil Village Gold Edition, a bundle of Winter's Expansion with the base game, will be released simultaneously. The release date is planned for October 28th, 2022.
Right before Halloween.
Resident Evil RE-Verse will also begin service on the same date,
Hey.
October 28th, 2022. We hope that you are looking forward to it.
Yes, we are. Thank God. I was going to say, I wonder if they're going to mention anything about the RE-Verse. That was basically a sort of multiplayer mode that was supposed to be released with the game when it first came out, but it got delayed because there was just countless issues with it, server issues and everything else. And they did the right thing. They held it back and they took it away, and they've just been working on it ever since. So it's been a solid year, I think even 2 years now. So hopefully that one is going to deliver. Clever marketing ploy to get this one out just before Halloween. If you haven't played Resident Evil Village, it is a very, very strong entry in the franchise, in my opinion. Great story, lots of twists, good characters, good enemies. As we know, Lady D is in there, hubba hubba, and just loads of sort of nods to the original Resident Evil games in terms of the backstory, but also something very fresh and very new. And it kind of goes back to its horror roots a little bit more in that one as well, as it did so well in Resident Evil 7. So very excited. Let's go back to the trailer first of all. So very excited about the trailer. I think the concept of Rose is an interesting one. My only worry is that they're just doing it for the sake of fleshing out the name of the franchise. And I know a lot of people are throwing shade and hate on the Resident Evil Netflix series that's coming up, but I personally like the look of the trailer. It was already miles ahead of the movie. Return to Raccoon City was absolute dog shit, and it should never have been invented. It should never have come out. Everything about it was bad. The CGI, the characters, the people who they picked to act those characters were nothing like the characters that we know and love from the games. It wasn't canon at all. It felt like they were throwing everything at it. Oh, here's Wesker, here's Jill, here's Leon, but they were all shit at acting as well. And I'm not shitting on the actors directly, but I just felt that it just felt so out of place. It just felt like a mishmash of just stuff that didn't really glue very well. And it wasn't good. So I like the look of that trailer. But again, with this one, I think it's a great idea. I love the Mega Mycete idea where she's kind of going into her own head. She's trying to explore her powers a little bit more, and I would love to be able to get to use some of those powers in the DLC. Hopefully that is the case. It looked a bit weird that Rose was using a gun, but she's clearly exploring some of the real world and some of the world that's in her head. I like the idea that the world in her head is sort of caving in around her. Kind of gives it that control feel. Control the game, not the element of control, but the game itself, it feels like it's kind of lending it to that. There's elements of sort of Chris Nolan's writing in there, sort of thing, where the world itself is collapsing in on you. Is it a mirage? Is it a sort of form of deceit, or is this actually happening? And I think having that in a game like this is an interesting new concept, but I'm intrigued. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but there's something about the trailer that I'm not quite sure about, and I think it's the story element. This is a story trailer, and we had to have someone come in and narrate what's going to happen in the DLC, which to me makes it feel like the DLC is not going to do a good job at storytelling, if you see what I mean. I feel that there's going to be a little bit of a flat story, other than Rose is led by a spirit. Hopefully that spirit's going to have some intention, or if it's not a spirit, whoever it is going to have some good reason, some good intention to the story. It's going to tie everything nicely together, and it's all going to come in a nice neat bow at the end of the DLC, I hope. But it just feels a bit weird to me that they had to narrate it a little bit and not let the trailer speak for itself, which makes me feel like it's not going to be as strong on the storytelling front as perhaps the gameplay is. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fun to play. I'm sure it's going to be amazing to be able to dive into that universe again, to revisit those areas to a degree. I don't want just a rehash, just a remodel. But there's clearly going to be some input on Rose's part, and I think what's going to happen in Resident Evil 9 is that Rose is going to become the main protagonist. I think what they're looking to do is hand over the torch. She's going to become the main protagonist, and I think that's who we're going to be looking at. So this is probably a taster of it, probably just to see how people take Rose as a main character, how the game plays, and how people feel about it. And I think in a way it's a good sort of test as well. It's a good way to test the waters on how people take to Rose. Does it sell? What's the feedback on it? And then they can work on that ready for the next game. I think that's what they're doing with this. I just hope it's a lot more in essence for what it is, so we get a good fleshed out story. I hope the gameplay is good. I love, as I said, the paranormal sort of psychological element, in the sense that the environment around her is collapsing in. But I hope there's a little bit more to it, and I'm sure there is going to be, but I am holding out hope for this one. It's also nice that we're going to get a third person mode, so it gives people the opportunity to replay Resident Evil Village in third person, or if you haven't already played it, have the option. And also we've got the multiplayer reverse coming out with that as well, which is much, in my opinion anyway, hotly anticipated. I think the idea and concept of almost like a battle royale, asymmetrical multiplayer horror game where you play as Resident Evil characters is amazing. And I hope they've taken the time to flesh that out, to really work on it, and to make sure that it is going to be a great experience for everybody. And it's going to be totally free as well when the game comes out, or when the DLC comes out alongside it. So it's a good little batch, really. So I'm hopeful, guys. I'm going to keep my eye out for more on this. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground in terms of any more news that comes through on this. But I think it's sound to say I will definitely be playing this when it's released on the channel, both the reverse multiplayer game and also the DLC itself. I've done Resident Evil Village, so we won't be going back to that. And I don't think just third person is enough to justify another playthrough, but if you want to check out my playthrough of that one, as I said, I have done a playthrough of it already, so feel free to go and check that one out. But we will be doing the DLC playthrough for sure, just to get some idea of what's going on. And as I said, I'm a massive fan of the franchise, and I hope this one delivers and is a nice add-on to the main game. And also we'll be doing separate streams on Reverse as well, so we'll be testing the waters on all of it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If you did enjoy this video as well, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to come and subscribe to the channel. head over to the community page, keep your eyes peeled for posts and live streams and things like that. And if you want to be notified as and when any content drops, including live streams, feel free to hit the bell icon on the channel homepage and you'll be notified as and when that stuff happens. Until the next video, guys, take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the very next video or stream. Peace out.